There is a type of person who seems very strange to most people. Just hearing the sentence, "Let's go out this weekend," is enough for them to start thinking of ways to say no. Not because they hate people, not because they are sad, not exactly because they are afraid of socializing either, but because deep down, they genuinely feel more comfortable being alone. And the problem is that society often misunderstands this type of person. We live in a world that treats being busy as normal, being surrounded by people as fun, and going somewhere alone as slightly concerning. If you prefer staying home to going to parties, prefer walking alone to hanging out in groups, prefer silence to constant conversation, you are very easily labeled introverted, weird, hard to approach, maybe even troubled. But maybe people were looking at it wrong from the very beginning. There is a huge difference between loneliness and being alone. Loneliness is the feeling of lacking connection. It is when you want to be understood, but no one can truly reach you. It is when people are around you, yet you still feel empty inside. Being alone is something else. It can be a choice, a space, a state in which your mind becomes quieter, your heartbeat slows down, and you feel more like yourself. One is a wound. The other can sometimes be a strength. For many years, psychology tended to group people who liked being alone into the same concerning category. As if the less someone wanted to socialize, the more likely they were to drift away from what is considered normal. But then a new direction in research appeared. Psychologists began asking a very simple question. What if there are people who are not afraid of society, do not hate society, but simply prefer privacy? That question changed a lot of things. Because from there, a clearer concept emerged. Not antisocial opposing society, not avoidant withdrawing because of fear, but a different state calmly liking being alone, actively liking being alone. No pain, no defensiveness. It just feels right. What is interesting is that people like this are not living badly at all. They are not broken, not distorted, not damaged the way society often imagines. Many of them still work well, still have friends, still know how to love, still have deep relationships. They just do not need a constant stream of social stimulation to feel alive. And when you look at it from the perspective of the brain, it makes even more sense. Extroverted people often receive a strong reward from social interaction, laughter, attention, the energy flowing back and forth in a crowd. Those things create excitement. But for people who like being alone, their nervous systems may be more sensitive to stimulation. They reach their enough point much faster. In other words, what feels fun for others may already feel overwhelming to them. Imagine it like spicy food. Some people need food to be very spicy before it feels satisfying. Others only need a little before their whole body already feels hot. Society cannot use one person's tolerance to judge another person as abnormal. The same applies to stimulation. Not everyone who communicates less lacks social skills. Sometimes they just do not need as much. But what matters even more lies in deep thinking. When they are alone, many people are not empty the way others assume. They are not just sitting there, not just doing nothing. They are processing many things inside, reflecting on themselves, connecting ideas, thinking about things other people usually overlook because they are too busy reacting to the outside world. For them, being alone is not empty space. It is the workspace of the mind. That is why some of the best ideas in your life do not come when you are standing in the middle of a crowd. They come when you are taking a shower, when you are walking alone, when you are sitting quietly and staring out the window, when the phone is silent, when no one is calling your name, when the brain finally has enough quiet to arrange the unfinished pieces of thought. Many creative people live this way, not because they hate humans, but because they need silence in order to hear their real inner voice. And this is where people often get confused. Liking being alone is not always a healthy sign. Sometimes people do not choose solitude because it is good for them. They choose it because it feels safer. Because being around others may make them feel judged, rejected, hurt. In that case, being alone is no longer a preference. It becomes armor. And those two things look very similar on the outside. Both involve turning down invitations. Both involve staying home. Both involve showing up less. But inside, they are completely different. One says, I stay alone because it fills me back up. The other says, I stay alone because I am afraid of being hurt. That difference is extremely important. So the real question is not, do you like being alone? The right question is, why do you like being alone? If your answer is that it helps you recharge, think more clearly, create, organize your emotions, then it is very likely a healthy form of solitude. But if your answer is that it feels easier, less judgmental, less disappointing, then there may still be pain underneath that has not been named yet. And that does not make you weak. It only means you need to be more honest with yourself. If you see yourself in these words, comment number 8. I want to know how many people have also been misunderstood simply because they genuinely need to be alone in order to recover. There is a very beautiful idea here. People who are truly okay being alone usually do not see themselves as half of a whole. They do not live with the feeling that they need someone else in order to be complete. They do not rush into connection just to fill an empty space. They understand that a person can be whole even while sitting alone in a quiet room. That does not mean they are cold. It also does not mean they do not need anyone. On the contrary, many people who value privacy actually treasure very deep relationships. They just do not expect one person to carry all of their emotional needs. They do not cling out of panic. They connect because they truly want to connect. That is a very rare kind of emotional maturity. Because when you know how to be alone without falling apart, you begin to approach other people by choice, not by lack. You do not need someone to rescue you from emptiness. You meet them with the best part of yourself, not the hungriest part. That is why the quality of your alone time directly affects the quality of your relationships. If you have never sat still long enough to understand yourself, it is very easy to enter relationships with confusion, dependence, and excessive expectations. But if you have spent enough time alone, become familiar with stillness, and learned how to fill yourself up, then when you enter a relationship, you will be different. You will control less. You will cling less. You will fear loss less. And here lies the paradox. People who are not afraid of being alone often love in a healthier way. The modern world makes this even harder to understand. We are constantly pulled into a state of always replying, always online, always present, always available. A person who likes silence in this age looks almost like someone resisting the whole system. But maybe that is actually a very powerful skill, the ability to sit quietly with yourself. The ability to not need noise in order to feel that you exist. The ability to not use other people to run away from yourself. That is not weakness. It is mental endurance. It is self-control. It is a level of self-awareness that not everyone has. In some cultures, this is even seen as completely normal. People can eat alone, watch movies alone, sing karaoke alone, travel alone without being looked at with pity. Because they understand one very basic truth: being alone does not mean being abandoned. Sometimes it is simply a conscious way of living, a slower way of breathing in a world that is too loud. So if you are the kind of person who needs quiet in order to recover, needs to be alone for your mind to become clear, needs to step away from crowds to stay balanced, then there is nothing wrong with you. You are not strange. You are not cold. You are not failing at communication. You may simply be someone whose nervous system works differently. You may need less stimulation to feel full. You may think more deeply than most people can see. Silence may not make you feel empty. It may bring you back to who you truly are. But remember this final thing. Always check yourself honestly. Can you connect when you want to? Do you still believe in people? Do you have a few people you truly trust? Are you alone because you like it, or because you no longer dare to open your heart? If the answer is that you are hiding, then do not judge yourself. Just understand that you do not have to stay in that mode forever. But if the answer is that you truly enjoy your private space and you still have the ability to form healthy connections when needed, then stop doubting yourself. You do not need to apologize for the way you recover. If you have often been asked things like, "Why are you always alone? Why do you always cancel plans? Why do you not like going out?" then comment number 9. I want to know how many people have stayed silent for too long because they did not know how to explain this. The next time someone asks why you like being alone, you do not need to explain yourself too much. You do not need to try to act normal according to their standards. You only need to understand one thing clearly: being alone is not always a sign of hurt. Very often it is a sign of deeply understanding yourself. And sometimes the simplest answer is the strongest one: because I like being with myself. Thank you for watching until the end. If this video expressed something you have felt but never knew how to name, please like and subscribe so I can continue making content like this. See you in the next video.